Okay, here's how it starts. 3 major things happened to me last summer. Number 1, I made the All-Star team, which is unbelievable but true. Number 2, Uncle Roy had a heart attack. And number 3, I learned that snakes cannot blink.
Joe, did you read the assignment? You were supposed to write a paper about the American flag.
Which I did.
I don't see what snakes and the All-Star team have to do with the American flag.
They have everything to do with the flag. Can I just read the rest of my paper, please?
All right, go ahead.
Now, I know what you're thinking. What does all this have to do with the American flag? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. You'll just have to keep reading this to find out.
First, you have to know about my brother Matt. When he got out of the Army, he came home for a few months and stayed with us. That was cool because Matt is cool. He's a volunteer firefighter, and he takes me everywhere with him. Like even into the city to see baseball games. But last summer, we had this big fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem, performed this afternoon by Carol Greeley.
Lose the hat.
What?
Take off your hat.
No, I never take off my hat.
Whose sun stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
So who made you the boss of everything?
Nobody.
Then why'd you steal my hat off in front of all those people?
Because you have to show some respect for the flag.
Who cares? Just a crummy piece of material.
When the flag passes you by, or they play the national anthem, you take your hat off with your right hand and you place it on your left shoulder, your right hand being over your heart. Now, if I was in uniform, I would have saluted.
If my friends saw me do that, they'd laugh.
Why?
'Cause only old people do that, like Grandpa used to do that, remember? Or somebody like Uncle Roy. Nobody I know does it.
It's what?
It's lame.
Was it lame for me to be in the Army? Was it lame when Grandpa defended this country? Is it lame to be an American?
Just don't touch my hat.
So what about the Pledge of Allegiance?
What about it?
I bet you don't even know it.
I know it. We say it at school.
Prove it.
I don't have to prove anything.
I got $1 says you do not know the Pledge of Allegiance.
You think you're so smart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That will be $1, please.
Okay, you can say it. But I got $5 says you can't tell me what it means.
I know what it means. It means we pledge of allegiance.
Meaning what?
Meaning we promise to show allegiance.
What's allegiance?
Allegiance is, it's when you like something a whole lot, so you allege to it.
That's not a word.
Allege is a word. I use it all the time.
No.
Allege to my bike or whatever. I don't know, ice cream or something. Okay, maybe it's not a word.
That'll be $5.
Just don't touch my hat. So, we were mad at each other, which translates into me not talking to Matt, and Matt not taking me anywhere, which is cruel and unusual, because I like running around with him. Mostly, I just play catch with Juan. Did I tell you I made the All-Star team?
Only about 173 times.
So this is 174. I made the All-Star team. Would you want my autograph? Hey, Uncle Roy! Not really my uncle, for your information. He's just the guy who lives next door. But we've called him Uncle Roy since I was a baby.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Juan.
What are you doing?
Well, it's time to replace this old flag.
Looks okay to me.
No, see, if you look closely, you'll see that it's faded and it's ripped in a few spots. I'll take it down to the American Legion to dispose of it.
Why don't you just throw it away?
Oh, no. You never throw away an American flag. You respect it. You treat it with honor. There are many laws and practices for how to handle and display the American flag. When it's flown with state flags, for example, or flags of cities or other groups, the American flag should be at the center and at the highest point. Many people believe that if a flag touches the ground, it must be destroyed, but that isn't true. As long as the flag is in good condition, it can still be displayed. When a flag is faded or torn and has served its useful purpose, it should be destroyed, preferably by burning. Many American Legion posts conduct disposal of unserviceable flag ceremonies, usually on June 14th, Flag Day.
Uncle Roy, snake!
I missed it.
Oh, he'll be back. That snake's been around all summer.
We should catch it and kill it.
Oh, that's not necessary. He won't hurt you.
Uncle Roy knows tons about snakes, like how they shed their skin and how they can't blink.
Joe, I've told you this before. You have a tendency to stray from your subject. Snakes are interesting, I'm sure, but you have to stay focused.
Miss Wilson, do you know that we didn't always have stars and stripes on our flag?
Yes, of course.
Then you must know that some of the first flags in America had snakes on them.
Ah.
I mean, look at what you put on the wall.
The snake was like this really important symbol during the American Revolution. And you know why? Because a snake can't blink, which means it's always watching, always on guard. Like the first Americans, always ready to defend themselves. Flags with snakes on them usually included the words, "Don't tread on me," meaning I want to be free. There were all kinds of interesting things on these old flags. The Grand Union flag had 13 stripes, one for each of the 13 colonies, and the British Union Jack in the corner. This was the unofficial flag on July 4th, 1776, when our country began. But it wasn't cool after we declared independence from Great Britain. After that, you start to see stars, 13 stars and 13 stripes. Betsy Ross made flags with 13 stars in a circle along with 13 stripes. When two new states came into the Union, Kentucky and Vermont, the flag had 15 stars and 15 stripes. This was the official flag of our country from 1795 to 1818. For a while, the flag stayed like that, even when new states joined the Union. This is the flag that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner. But when more and more new states started coming into the Union, they wanted to change the flag. But it didn't make sense to add a lot more stripes. So they put on a star for each new state. The last time that happened was when Alaska and Hawaii brought the number up to 50, but there's only 13 stripes, representing the first 13 colonies.
Okay, so that part about the snake makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Can I keep reading?
Please do.
Fast forward, 3.5 days after we saw the snake, there was a fire. Matt got to the station in less than 2 minutes. I followed him on my bike. In my town, the firefighters are all volunteers. They don't get paid anything, but they don't care about that. They'll do anything to help people, even risk their lives. My brother says this kind of community service is a responsibility of every citizen. This time, I started to notice something about the fire station I had never noticed before. There are American flags everywhere you look. I learned later that firefighters are very proud of their flag.
My name is Mike Reeves, and I am an Indianapolis firefighter. I've been a firefighter for Indianapolis for 24 years. My dad was a firefighter for 34 years, so it was just second nature as a child to grow up, and I've always respected firefighters, and I thought it'd be cool to be a fireman one day, and here I am today being a firefighter. I still enjoy getting up and going to work. There's not too many professions that you can say that about. I know when I go to work, I'm going to help somebody. They're going to call me because they need me, and that's rewarding. And that's as rewarding a career you can probably ever choose. Well, the morning of September 11th, I was going to an actual seminar. I'd paid for a seminar on the east side of town at a Holiday Inn, and I was driving there, and I turned the radio on, and I heard the story, and it was a news anchor, ABC, or one of the news anchors, and they were talking about this tragedy, and I thought, well, this is H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. I mean, this couldn't be real. And I got inside the hotel, made a phone call, and they said, no, this is really happening. And 3 o'clock, we were told, get ready to get on the buses. we were going to the Pentagon. They needed our help. And 4 o'clock, we finally got all set up on the buses, and it was, as we pulled out, they said, we're going to New York. We didn't know what to expect. We drove all night long. We had state police escorts, and the roads were completely deserted. There was nobody on the streets, and we went through toll booths, and we got into close enough to New York. We seen the smoke and the fire and the smoke, just cloud hanging over the Manhattan. The second day there, I was working on Building 5, and Building 5 was just a number to me. I talked to a New York, I think he was a captain on FDNY, and he told me that Building 5 was the American Stock Exchange. It was only 5 or 7 stories, but we were working on that. While we were working on that, we were finding parts of the tower. We went in as a group. We had iron workers with us as well, and there was a great big 55 marked on one of these big pillars I was working on, and I crawled in probably 30, 40 foot in, searching a big void area. And you know, when I got back out of it, I asked him, and you know, this is where I was, and he said, you were on the 55th floor. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, well, as iron workers and steel workers, he said, you mark everything, and it just goes up like puzzles. It's pre-marked. So I was working on Building 5, but the Tower 2 had collapsed on Building 5, and I was working on the 55th floor as well. Anytime there was a firefighter that was found, as I said before, we had to contact FDNY, and whenever it was, they would drape that stretcher, and they would drape it with American flag, and everything just ceased. You stopped all operation that you were doing, whether you're on the street or on the pile, and you just stopped for that couple of minutes that it took to remove that firefighter. And you know, and it happened a lot. But every time, people didn't, you know, they never questioned, continued to work. They just stopped and showed respect to that firefighter, you know, for doing his job. And it looked just so solemn with still the dust and the smoke, and there's still fire. There's still fire for weeks afterwards. And it was all just lingering up through that. And then you looked over and seen the American flag, and you just wanted to cry. You wanted to be proud. I'll remember that forever.
And it's like it pauses for a second. And then from the USA, or for the gold medal, United States of America, you know, it's like that, everybody just starts screaming and yelling, you know. Again, you see the picture snapping, and we take the step up to the top. And I mean, being up there is just, I don't know. I really don't know how to explain it. I mean, you're up there. You're one of the best. You know, not many people get to go home with the gold medal, and here we are.
What happened?
We saved most of the house. Nobody got hurt.
Good going.
What are you watching?
A show about the Olympics.
Ah.
The moment that they're hoisting the American flag and they played the national anthem, I mean, you hear the national anthem all the time. You see the flag everywhere here in the United States. But you're over in a foreign country, competing in foreign soil, and you're standing there, obviously amongst foreigners, you know, your competitors, and you see that flag going up. I mean, you see the flag first. You see the flag going up, and it's like, dang. I mean, like, that's cool, you know, that's really cool. And then you hear the American, you know, you hear the national anthem being played, and it's like, really, like, it hits you at that moment, like, what you're there for, you know, and what you represent. And you're standing there, and you're representing every single American back at home, and every single American that's over here cheering for you, and every single American that's competing. You represent everybody that represents United States of America. And I mean, like, when you see the flag going up and you hear the national anthem, it's just, at that point, you step back and you're like, you know, you're proud. You're proud to be an American. You really are.
What's up with you?
Nothing?
You crying?
No, I've got something in my eye, okay?
Okay.
The next day, we got some really terrible news. Uncle Roy had a heart attack and died. He was the best, the funniest, the nicest, and the smartest man I ever met. And it's weird. I thought I knew everything about Uncle Roy, but there's something I didn't know. Uncle Roy was a veteran.
The shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
There was an American flag draped over his coffin. Any honorably discharged veteran is entitled to a burial flag. Actually, anybody can have a flag draped over their coffin, but it's an honor, and it's usually reserved for vets and other major people, like presidents. The flag is never lowered into the ground with the casket. It is folded up very carefully, usually in the form of a triangle. Then it's given to the family members. Uncle Roy didn't have any family members left, so they gave it to us. A couple weeks ago, I couldn't care less about the flag, but now it meant something to me. It meant something really important.
The symbol of the flag to me has always meant freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when I look at the flag. It means a lot of people have sacrificed to defend that flag and to protect our way of life. I think about the guys that have gone before me and have sacrificed, and sometimes that brings a tear to my eye. Flag-draped coffins, each time that I've seen one of those, and I've seen quite a few of them, my reaction is always the same. I always think to myself, you know, what a great honor it is to have the flag draped over your coffin. And it means that the person inside there sacrificed and was a true patriot.
Anybody that has a flag needs to know some of the traditions and some of the policies of displaying the flag. The flag, yeah, it may be their personal flag. It may be their thing to hang in their family room or on their flagpole, but it's still the United States of America's flag. It is still our flag. We still fought for that flag. We shed blood for that flag. That is ours. If you don't display it how it should be, I think that's wrong. I think you need to display it in a professional manner because you are expressing not only how you feel about the flag, but how Americans feel in the flag.
If I was to see somebody burning the flag and protesting against being able to burn the flag or not, I'd feel as if they were just stabbing me in my heart, because that represents who I am. The flag doesn't represent the government, it represents our country and who you are. So if you're gonna burn the flag, you're not hurting the government, you're hurting yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Junior League All-Stars. Daniel Prescott, Charles Reed, Chip McAllister, Joe Malone, Darnell Coles, Nathan Brooks, and Manny Santiago. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem.
Take off your hat. What? Take off your hat. Show some respect for our country.
Oh.
You didn't like my paper, did you?
No, Joe. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think you should read it in front of the entire school for our Flag Day celebration.
Me? Read this in front of the whole school?
Would you like that?
Absolutely.